It was supposed to be a quick trip. My name is Rachel, and I was driving back from a family gathering in a nearby town with my stepson, Ethan. My husband, Mark, had stayed behind to help his sister with a few things, so it was just the two of us making the drive back home. Ethan, 22, had recently moved back in with us after finishing college and was trying to figure out his next steps. We had always gotten along well, though our relationship had its moments of awkwardness, especially after his mother passed away several years ago. The weather was unpredictable that night. Storm clouds rolled in quicker than we expected, and visibility dropped as the rain poured down. Somewhere along a rural stretch of highway, the car began to sputter. I pulled over just as the engine gave out completely. After trying and failing to restart the vehicle, I called for roadside assistance, but due to the storm, they estimated it would take several hours to reach us. We were stranded. It wasn't safe to stay in the car all night, especially with the weather worsening, so we decided to find shelter. After searching nearby locations on my phone, we found a small motel just a 15-minute walk away. We grabbed our jackets, locked up the car, and trudged through the rain. The motel was humble, clearly past its prime, but it was warm and dry. Unfortunately, it only had one room available due to a nearby festival that had booked up most accommodations. We looked at each other, silently agreeing that sharing a room for the night was better than staying out in the cold. I booked it. Inside, the room had 2 beds pushed apart, a small television, and 1 dim lamp. We both dried off and changed into what we had in our bags. I had a spare t-shirt and leggings. Ethan borrowed a clean shirt he'd packed from the trip. As we settled in for the night, we started talking. At first, the conversation was light. We laughed about the bad luck of the car breaking down, about the old motel's funky wallpaper, and the sound of the rain tapping the window. But as the hours passed and the rain showed no signs of stopping, the conversation took a deeper turn. We talked about life, fears, and dreams. Ethan confided in me that he felt lost, that after college, he wasn't sure what he wanted. I listened, offering encouragement and sharing my own experiences from when I was younger. There was a vulnerability in the room that night, born from the unexpected circumstances. I began to see Ethan not just as my stepson, but as a young man trying to make sense of the world. He was kind, thoughtful, and clearly struggling. I felt compassion for him and perhaps, in that moment, I also felt seen in a way I hadn't in a long time. My marriage with Mark had become strained over the past couple of years. We still cared about each other, but something had changed. The spark was gone. Our conversations were mostly about bills, chores, and responsibilities. But lying in that motel room, hearing Ethan open up, stirred emotions I wasn't expecting. I reminded myself of the boundaries that needed to stay firm. I cared about Ethan, and I didn't want to confuse compassion with anything more. So I smiled, wished him good night, and turned off the light. I didn't sleep much. The combination of the storm, the uncomfortable bed, and my swirling thoughts kept me awake. In the quiet hours, I reflected on how life can surprise you, how being stuck on the side of the road could lead to conversations that hadn't happened in years, to honesty that rarely found its way into daily life. In the morning, the storm had passed. Roadside assistance finally arrived, and the car was towed to a local shop. We grabbed coffee at a diner nearby while waiting for the repairs. Things felt a little awkward. We both knew the night had brought something unspoken to the surface. But we didn't address it directly. Instead, we focused on getting home. When Mark returned later that day, I told him about the breakdown and the motel stay, skipping over the emotional depth of the night. Not because I was hiding anything, but because I wasn't sure how to explain it. How do you talk about a moment of connection that was powerful, yet not acted upon? In the weeks that followed, I kept my distance from Ethan a bit more than usual. Not coldly, just enough to give myself space to process. I realized that what I needed wasn't a new connection, but a rekindling of the one I already had. I talked to Mark about how I'd been feeling distant, and to my surprise, he opened up too. We began making small changes, taking walks in the evening, cooking dinner together again, and remembering how we used to laugh. Ethan eventually found a job in another city and moved out. Before he left, he hugged me longer than usual and said, "Thanks for listening that night." I nodded, knowing that whatever had passed between us would remain in that motel room, not as a scandal or secret, but as a strange, human moment in a storm. Infidelity, in the traditional sense, never happened. But emotionally, I had wandered close to a line I shouldn't have approached. That experience taught me a lot about vulnerability, connection, and the importance of addressing what's missing in a relationship before it leads you down a path of confusion. Life is complicated. People are complicated. And sometimes, a broken down car and a rainy night can shine a light on the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. I'm grateful nothing happened that night, but I'm even more grateful for what it taught me.